Hey guys, thanks for joining me, your host, Brandy Joy, the voice to be reckoned with. Today's topic, or our episode is, let's think about this. In this episode, we reach out to parents and to remind them to use their better judgment when it comes to the safety of their children and to always, be assertive and be direct, And we also cover, so many things and so many layers of what one is to do or how they deal with people and their opinions and thoughts when you treat bullying as a serious offense, and then now you're led to pull your child out of their education environment and responses from people and how to handle that too. So don't go too far. Hey everyone, welcome back. A voice to be reckoned with your host, Brandy Joy. Today, guys, we are digging back into, the bullying series and bring awareness to the thought process of individuals that probably don't really grasp the severity behind the decisions of a parent when dealing with a child that is dealing with harassment and assault and having to defend themselves at school. Me speaking from experience, I find it in an almost utmost need for a parent to jump in on that right away and monitor and, if necessary, pull the child out of the school. People might disagree because their value system might be a little bit different. I try to, not judge, but when it comes to mine, I'm going to judge, or they've never really dealt with bullying, so they have an ignorance to it. And so they just don't really or they really didn't see what you guys or what your child had went through. So it's minimized to them. It's minimal. It's not a big deal. Maybe they'd never dealt with it. Maybe it was in their face and they dealt with it as how they deal with it now. And by the grace of God, nothing bigger happened, to slap them in the face and say, oh, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Well, I'm not going to allow someone ever to, make those choices for me. Things happen no matter where we go, and we try to keep our kids safe and put them in a bubble. You just, and you'll get those people in the comments. What are you going to do? Take them out you can't take them out every time somebody does something. Okay, look. I try my best to be kind and understanding and respectful when dealing with individuals that probably should just back off or try to at least understand or learn or be more concerned about safety versus paper or education. Yeah. So getting back to that, you have to never treat it lightly. Remove your child from the situation. If it's, first of all, red alert. If the school's not even helping, that is a mandatory, as if it was. It shouldn't be, we have to talk about it and get them to do something. Let's go back and talk to them. It should have been when your child was assaulted, basically. Me personally, I would not have a problem with, I'm not against a parent taking that so serious where they feel like they might need to bring other matters into it, especially if the school isn't doing anything. It seems like kids at school, like it's different there when it comes to the rights and the safety of children versus being an adult and out here in the real, not saying that the real world, but in just regular society. Now, if this was happening to your child just regularly, outside of school, and it was brought up, then there'd be an issue and be investigation. There'd be some charges, right? Wouldn't that be the case? But at school, it seems that it's really swept under and it's just expected. And it's like, oh, well, okay, we'll give this kid in school or maybe suspension. But what did that do? All you did nothing. You just did a procedure, a policy, children, to suspend them. You did nothing to discipline or to give that child a consequence for the crime that he just committed because he assaulted somebody. Let me make this very clear for parents. When your child has been hit or kicked or jumped, that was an assault. Let me make that very clear to a youth. That's assault. Because you got your bullying, you got your this, that is assault. And therefore, you should not take it with a grain of salt. You shouldn't just and parents, we can't teach our kids to have to take it. Because where does it stop? Do they draw the line at? What if they don't say anything? As adults, we owe it to children to make them feel safe and validated. And if in a situation like this, it shouldn't just be, you should be checking in. You know what I mean? You should automatically reprimand that student that has been doing the harassing, has been physically every time. I don't care if you're throwing something, you know what I mean? You just don't. That is so demeaning and it's so I can't even start to even. Why do children have to be, have to deal with that versus anyone else or the adult or that person is probably not doing anything about that situation, or if it was their kid, they jump all over it. That's some bullshit, and so it's up to parents. Let me reiterate, parents to install in our children what to do in these situations. And it's to get out of it, Don't be quiet. Don't let that school talk you into things, or call you in the office and minimum, especially when you're just like a good kid, you know what I mean? And you're trusting and you don't see a reason why an adult, would tell you wrong. You know what I mean? Adults are good for covering their ass, especially in the work field or when you have businesses and anything of the matter. Things have changed, you know what I mean? And it's, and people tend to choose, we would think you would choose one thing over another. You think you would choose the safety, you know what I mean? But that's not always the case. And that's not always how it is, for all children that have been in these situations. You know what I mean? Some have been in environments where things were done, things were properly, that person that felt it was okay to assault and to torment them and make their, school like hell, you know what I mean? Made them, regret what they did. You have to teach them, because then you set that kid up for failure, for probably death, drugs, alcohol, or jail. Because they'll just continue being a bully. And who else are they going to get? And what are they going to do next? And it's like, you just got to find a better fit. You got to find somewhere else. Yeah, things will happen here. But if your life is, your safety is in danger, then yes, remove over and over, remove. But just don't remove. Make sure that you address that situation with somebody, with someone higher up than who you're dealing with, because obviously they didn't put in, they didn't treat the situation with the severity that it was needed. They just kept it moving on to the next, And then for some folks looking on the outside looking in that really don't know what this parent and this child is going through, have you like, well, you should send them back because, this is A, X, B, Y, and Z, and, and A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and 1, 2, 3, and all the malarkey in the world. And you're like, where's the empathy? Where's the comment? Come on. Well, for what? They're going to work it out, you know what I mean? To go to the school and be like, look, what could change from you removing your child at that time and nothing, the school gave you nothing then. Why would they do anything now? Like, you got to take that to them. Well, if you do this with this child, and maybe we can get this child to, there's no way in hell. You know what I mean? That's a reality. It's like you go back into that environment, that kid's a little bit more of an asshole because he's ticked because he's an asshole, they got in trouble, then stop being a freaking tormentor, stop assaulting people. And then you wouldn't have these issues. So now you're even more mad at the victim. And then you continue on, and maybe even worse. So hell no, not putting like, I'll do it again. Take you out. Education is not that damn important to me that I'm willing to risk my son's well-being. I see, I see out here, my eyes are wide open. My nose is wide open. And I see the craziness of the world and the craziness, how it's affecting our youth and how with no proper guidance that their actions without thought become very devastating and they can't be undone. For instance, school shootings, they don't get to see what they've done. If they don't take their own life, they're taken out, and put somewhere. So they're not seeing the devastation that they caused, to maybe click somewhere because that didn't play a part before they went out and did, they didn't really think of the effects of how it's going to just tear down and break. Like me just thinking right now, it just makes me want to drop to my knees just to think of parents that have dealt with, the devastation of what one person has done to their innocent child. We really have to, take a look at mental health, how that's going on unnoticed or not paid attention to in society in general. But then when it comes to school, nobody's talking about shit that matters. You know what I mean? You got to talk about this stuff. Don't wait till it happens, because obviously when it happens, they still don't even be talking about it a lot. Not enough to me. Not enough to me, but that's just me. If they are, hey, lead me to where, no, really. Because where I stand, it's not happening. But the mental health, it has to be addressed. If you're having these conversations in places that children reside, then what are you doing? What are you doing? Where are they supposed to get this shit from? Where are they supposed to learn this stuff at? Mental health is practically the reason why these things are happening. You have to address that shit. And the sad part is you hear it all the time. Well, this person, so you already knew this. You knew that this person there was incidents prior to. You see on the news that, the police been out to this many times and then this and that. And so what the frick is going on? Why ain't nobody talking? Why ain't nobody asking the right questions? Why ain't nobody going to the right person and asking the right questions? Why ain't the right people going to, you know what I mean? You see what I'm getting out here? So therefore, I speak to the parents to say, protect your child. Screw what they're going through. But at the same time, make sure that you don't just make sure, because there's other children in that school too that's probably